Have you ever faced a road that seemed impossible, while the path back looked safe and tempting? We all feel that pull. Human nature reaches for the familiar shore when the unknown begins to frighten us. But hardship is not proof that Allah has left you. Sometimes it reveals how deeply He is teaching you trust. Tonight, we travel to the year 711 to meet a leader facing a task that appeared impossible. His name was Tariq ibn Ziyad, a commander entrusted with 7,000 men and a dangerous crossing. He was not sailing for jewels or a throne. His mission was to confront oppression across the sea. One by one, the ships left the familiar coast, carrying the soldiers toward a land none could predict. Tariq stood at the bow, steady and silent, while the sea tested every plank beneath him. The water was vast and unforgiving. Every violent wave reminded the men how far home had become. 7,000 men were entering unknown territory, and doubt quietly traveled from face to face. Ahead waited the lion's den. Behind them, the sea remained their only possible road home. Then, at dawn, a shout crossed the deck. Land ahead. Al-Andalus finally rose from the mist. They landed quietly, boots sinking into cold sand beneath mountains, glowing in the first morning light. For one brief moment, the shore seemed peaceful, but peace before a storm can be an illusion. Tariq knew they had to move quickly before King Roderic could gather his full strength. He sent scouts inland, searching for roads, allies, and the first movement of the enemy. Far
Sire,
away, the
the
news
invaders are
reached
here.
Roderic.
They have
A small
crossed the water.
foreign army had landed on his coast. He did not feel threatened. He laughed, certain that his power made defeat impossible. Roderic summoned his might, not like a worried defender, but like a king preparing a parade. He even refused a war horse, reclining in a jeweled chariot, as though victory were already arranged. Then Tariq's scouts
My
returned
lord,
breathless.
the enemy is approaching
Their
from the
message
east.
changed
Let
the
them come.
mood of the
Ready
entire
the men.
camp. The earth began to tremble, softly at first, then with the rhythm of countless marching feet. A dust cloud expanded until it seemed to cover the world. Roderic's army was coming. It was not a small defense force. It was an ocean of armor, banners, horses, and steel. The account speaks of 100,000 against 7,000. The numbers felt beyond strategy, almost beyond reason. Panic moved through the camp. Fear was natural, and every man could feel it. Then their eyes found the ships.
Look, the ships are our
meant
only hope.
Safety, escape,
We're running out of
family,
time.
and
Go!
home.
Get to the water! We must reach the boats
Whispers
before nightfall.
spread quickly.
There is
We
no time
cannot
to lose.
win. Let us
What if they are
return to the
waiting?
boats while
We
there
have to
is
take
time.
this chance.
Tariq understood the danger. An easy escape could divide their courage before the battle even began. So he reached for a torch and made the
This
decision
night,
that would echo
we
through the
redefine
story.
our destiny.
His officers gathered,
There is no
expecting
escape but
orders
through
for
courage.
defense, retreat,
The
or
enemy
perhaps
is
a
before you,
desperate
the sea
negotiation.
behind you.
Instead, Tariq gave the order they could hardly believe. Burn them. Burn the ships. The first flame touched a sail, and the impossible command became frighteningly real. Soon the whole bay burned, mast after mast, until the night itself glowed red. They watched their safety, their retreat, and their road home turn slowly into ash. In one moment, Tariq removed every plan B. There was nowhere left to run. Behind them
There is
stood
no
the sea.
escape.
Before them waited an army that seemed
The
to have
sea
no
is
end.
behind you, and the enemy is before you.
Whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Allah will accomplish His purpose. Then Tariq rose above the men, not to hide their danger, but to give it meaning. Where would you flee? Behind you is the sea, before you stands the enemy. You have
We must
nothing
stand
left, he
firm
told
and
them,
resolve
except
our
sincerity, patience, discipline, and trust in Allah.
Oh, my
Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal
look only
wakeel.
ahead of
Sufficient
you.
for us is Allah, and
For ahead
He
of
is
you
the
lies
best
honor
disposer
and
of
victory.
affairs. Their circumstances had not changed, but their hearts had, and that changed how they faced the morning. At dawn, the smaller army advanced, not as men escaping death, but as men accepting duty. The two forces collided. Steel rang, dust rose, and the field disappeared beneath movement. Tariq's men moved with purpose, while the enormous royal army became clumsy, crowded, and confused.
Pull, you
Then
beasts,
Roderic's
pull! Don't
magnificent
just stand there,
chariot
help
sank
me!
into the
My
mud,
kingdom for a
trapped
dry
by the
path!
weight he proudly
Push the
displayed.
wheels, you fools!
His golden crown fell first. In one comic instant, arrogance lost its costume. With their command broken, the massive army scattered before the smaller force that refused to retreat. The impossible had happened. 7,000 men had survived the storm they were never expected to face. That victory opened the way into Andalus and began a new chapter in the history of the region. In time, Andalus became renowned for learning, architecture, cultivation, scholarship, and cultural achievement. The great rock near the landing became known as Jabal Tariq, the Mountain of Tariq. Across generations and languages, Jabal Tariq became the name the world now knows as Gibraltar. And now, my dear friend, the story returns to you. What are the ships behind your fear? Place your ultimate trust in the one who controls the sea, the enemy, and every outcome. Perhaps it is a habit, a grudge, a distraction, or the fear of stepping into the unknown. Sometimes moving forward requires releasing the very thing you believed was keeping you safe. May Allah grant us courage, sincerity, patience, and true reliance upon Him. Assalamu alaikum.